said the N-word, and predominantly black neighborhood I did.
It was 316 day for Monday Night Raw in a packed house of 0 people. And of course, a viewership of who gives a fuck because nobody wanted to watch it. So, what would happen? What would happen? I'm serious. I'm not playing around. What happened? Raw sucked? Fair enough. That's practically it. Because that was all I can know. There was like at least one registered wrestling match. AJ Styles doing like that Vince McMahon thing when Triple H tossed a sledgehammer on the Minitron back on Monday Night Raw, I think of '07. Or that stupid 316 last moment when Byron Saxton obviously was getting stunned. Like, can I get a hell yeah? I give you a hell yeah! It was such a cringe and do. I understand WWE's working with their gut with a limitizing use of the roster. And probably they have a couple guys still training in the training facility so they can have some use out of it. And WrestleMania is going to be in the same setting, with people thinking that the show is going to be in freaking Madison Square Garden. The forced optimism from the wrestling fans couldn't be more worse. Coming around with the Undertaker looking like he was bringing back his American Badass gimmick for one more ride against AJ Styles. Kevin Owens, there's a lot of one-on-one matches with not a lot of substance. And there's not a lot of multi-man matches with a lot of wrestlers that are over things. Most of the tag division is split up. So what's the point of watching Mania? Other than just seeing a match that was actually developed like Edge and Randy Orton. Because I'm just coming around thinking, we have the same rinse and repeat feuds with Brock Lesnar involving WrestleMania. He gets his comeuppance, he beats the crap out of his contender, and then he gets beaten the crap out of before the pay-per-view. They come around cussing a bit, Paul Heyman says bitch, and then they started fighting. And then whatever happens on the pay-per-view. We have minute feuds that come with AJ Styles, because this feels so like undersold and overcooked with AJ Styles just bringing in Michelle McCool just to Michelle McCool? Really? Michelle McCool. He come she wasn't like relevant or shown on TV since WrestleMania 33. What does Michelle McCool have to do with you trying to fight The Undertaker so you can try to make this a personal feud? 50-something-year-old Undertaker that couldn't even hit a choke slam correctly on Goldberg, and you're telling me I'm excited for WrestleMania 36 against him and AJ Styles while the coronavirus is still spreading, and I hope Byron Saxton gets it, because I'm sick of seeing his corny ass on TV. Comes around with his unnecessary long ass ponytail. Gallows and Anderson were handing him the contract. It was like a whole lot of stuff that happened just to make sure Undertaker is still shown as a threat. Well, he's slow, he's old. It makes no sense why he's back. We never made a good farewell, even though he's lost twice at WrestleMania. His mystique is kind of given up now. Most of the Saudi shows overrobbed his ability to matches that should have happened. Like, are you sure you wanted to waste your money to see Shawn Michaels, Triple H tag against the Brothers of Destruction in 2018? You want to see Goldberg and Undertaker in 2019? You don't want to see that crap. Now here he is facing off against one of the better wrestlers in the company that's a full-timer. Just to make this at least an 8-minute, 10-minute match. Probably with Undertaker getting over. And he's probably going to show up again because there's no, legitimacy or hype factor into the card for WrestleMania 36, other than the last man standing match with Randy Orton and Edge. And Edge had a great promo involving all the stuff he did, but it's based on jealousy, not based on selflessness, and all this history that we had around each other, how we changed the business. And it was a nice promo. From all the stuff, at least I made this a tolerable promo. But we know, like, Edge, we know it's a limiting factor if he's even going to be still wrestling for a majority of 2020, even to the pandemic, the breakup pandemic. That's changing nearly everything. Most wrestling events are either ending up until later May, June. So there's a lot of toughness into that. Some people taking online classes. Some people are just struggling in general, bro. I mean, it's a world, like, it's a turbine around here. But at least WWE isn't changing. Even though how many times I pleaded, or many fans pleaded for them to cancel Mania, or at least suspend Mania to, like, late April or something. Because I'm trying to understand, what's the point? You guys barely have most of your roster established. Other than a couple NXT people get a shot. Becky Lynch forcibly trying to think that she's over. Most of your belts not shown with any prestige. Like, other than, like, the main couple titles, it's only the main single belts, and no other mid card. I remember they did any type of gimmick match to try to get their mid card involved. Remember the Money in the Bank? The last time that was even established to be a good mid card thing was 2010, and Jack Swagger was the last winner of it before they made that a legitimate pay per view, killing the importance of trying to get that one top star, other than try to forcibly give it over to Daniel Bryan, then to Dolph Ziggler, then to Randy Orton, then The Miz. They didn't care. They just made it so they can forcibly try to make new stars with no establishing storylines, because WWE doesn't know how to do that anymore. And now here we are, just a few weeks away from the biggest show in the business. A breakout pandemic is nearly shutting down businesses, stopping the run of any current events. And still, WWE still thinks the show must go on for no damn reason. Next up, we had a non-title match, even though these guys have feuded for over a year now. Humberto Carrillo, no Angel Garza. I think this is technically the only match on the show. And it was a good match. I don't know why Asuka was on commentary. I thought that was a feed into maybe, like, because they're in the training facility, so expected at least Alexa Bliss or Nikki Cross ambush her like she did just a few weeks ago on their match. And their tag team match against Bayley and Sasha Banks, so expected like an eye for an eye thing, something like that, to just make sure there's like a feud going on. Because there's no tag team titles currently on the line come WrestleMania. So I don't understand why that's not difficult, but we have 16 other matches based on one-on-one feuds that will at least last for 2 months, or at least just for one night. So I don't understand why we can't make these tag team feuds. Thanks, Asuka and Kairi Sane hasn't defended their tag team title since December of last year. This is a good match. Just, I thought it had no reason to exist except probably Rey Mysterio will get a title shot probably next week or in WrestleMania because he pinned the champion. I'm sick of this. Why didn't you do a number one contenders match involving Humberto and Rey Mysterio? Thanks to been both targeting the United States title since feuding with Andrade. Or make it a triple threat match. Do something to make sure that WrestleMania has some type of, like, matches. Thanks, most of these guys been stealing the show on Raw for the last couple months. Reverse elbow. I think it was electric chair into a Hurricane Rana, and it stuck into a pin. It felt so. It felt so nice. It was a good match, but I hate hearing the silence, and it was just like so boring. It came into a 619 and over the top rope splash. Asuka was just there like, wah, wah, Andrade, because they're both heels, so I guess she had to come for moral support of a guy he barely knows or interacts with a majority of the main roster, even though he has two bitches that are part of this live. One is Zelina Vega, one is Charlotte Flair for training as, coming around just showing moral support where one of their titties is bouncing because Zelina Vega's petite, and I don't know, man. It is like such a basic Andrade and Rey Mysterio matches. They don't make anything different. The biggest thing they ever had was January when they had a ladder match, and that was so undersold because Rey Mysterio and Andrade were just at the weaker spots. Sunset flips didn't feel good. The time Mysterio was falling off the belt, and he and Andrade struggled to make a powerbomb out of it. It just felt so underselling. And here they are still wrestling after the matches on SmackDown. Then when they both came to Raw, and now there's no reason for these guys to even wrestle. Because it's the same match that these guys have. Back elbow, drop kick, some kind of messy Hurricane Rana in the corner with no stipulation. What was the reason with no authority figure or any type of twist into it? We know either you're going to pin the champion in a non-title match or tag team match. You get an automatic title shot. Like it's the same rinse and repeat. I remember like 2000 King of the Ring. I know this is like preaching to a choir, and yes, I'm bringing up Attitude Era shit, because back then you actually had a reason to fight, and when you had a reason to fight, it costs drama, tension, and you get something out of it whenever you win a huge match, or or the authority figures actually cared about making the show watchable, so they make these ridiculous stipulations that actually is going to cost something for the champion or the opponent. So back in 2000, we had for the King of the Ring main event, Shane McMahon, Triple H, and Shane McMahon in a six-man tag. This was orchestrated in trying to cost shit for Triple H and try to embarrass McMahon's in the same pace. And both The Rock, Kane, and The Undertaker were in conflict with each other, trying to get themselves a title shot, but they had to work together, but also try to steal a victory so they can become WWF champion. That causes tension. It's suspenseful. You don't know who's gonna win. At any chance, you obviously don't want it to be Triple H. That's exciting. That makes you want to buy the pay-per-view. And now here we are, 20 years later. Nearly 20 years later, and they don't know how to do suspenseful shit like that anymore. And I don't know what makes that difficult. That wasn't inappropriate. That wasn't like a raunchy thing to do. That wasn't a ratings thing. Anybody could do that type of match stipulation. And I would get people to buy a fucking Ring of Honor pay-per-view of all things. And you know what happened over the end of it? Did anybody come to attack Rey Mysterio after his victory against the U.S. champion? No, it just ended with Asuka disappointed. Don't even know, thanks, like, we know most of the guys didn't want to show up because of the coronavirus. That's why we haven't seen Corey Graves and now Andrade and Angel Garza didn't even want to show up. Even though we don't even know what kind of association that Angel Garza has with Andrade. Because, Zelina Vega manages the same people, so they didn't want to establish anything with that. The man, Becky Lynch, came around with a fuck-off truck earlier in the show. Coming around. Please change your theme song. Both SmackDown and Raw. Look, I love Kid Rock, but by God, does that sound like something like adrenaline pumping, fast paced, and as like dangerous as pro wrestling to get your adrenaline up? That does not like fucking NXT got Slipknot, and you're telling me that we get Kid Rock, and then in WrestleMania, we have the fucking Weekend. That's a joke. No one wants to listen to the Weekend while Brock Lesnar is trying to bash Drew McIntyre's brain in. Please, WWE actually make something that sounds like some real people want to watch people fight. Oh my God, it's like if Dragon Ball Z had K-pop. Who wants to listen to some K-pop while Goku's beating the shit out of Frieza, Cell, or Majin Buu? Come on, man. And it's the same generic, like, this ain't your octagon, this is my ring, it's the same generic promo as, like, Becky Lynch. And I thought the most cringe thing she did involving like another women's feud was her rematch against Asuka on the next week of Raw after the Royal Rumble. And the idea is to drive Baszler mad because the Queen of Spades has bullied her way to the top for so long, and is like bullied her way, and you're called the man. And it was so like corny and generic. And it was like bullied her way to the top. She won the number one contendership, and she was the only new superstar because they knew everybody was a jobber. The Riot Squad are jobbers. You already beat Asuka twice for title matches in under a month, so there was no point. And obviously, they weren't planning to give it to. Yeah, they weren't planning to give it to the other girl. Because I don't know why WWE doesn't want to do this. We don't even have any other female feuds going on because it's the women's division, and the only thing women don't have is winning championships, and that's the only thing you can establish as a star. You can go without establishing a star by winning a title. Eve Torres wasn't notable back then. Like she won the Divas title. She didn't win the Divas title until late 2011. She was also notable for her Zack Ryder shit, and at least that made her like a character. We knew what she established to be after later on in the weeks. So you can make established female wrestlers without trying to make that a title match. And we're so like debunked in trying to make this shit possible. It's because of the overuse of trying to call up NXT little midgets that have no kind of ability other than I'm a good wrestler, and here's the reason why. Like, and I'm so happy to be here. It's so underwhelming, and then it took this long until we got Shayna Baszler to the main roster. Until we establish what she can break wrists. I just want to see Becky Lynch get hurt. It's so sad, and I'm shocked she's been champion for this long. They thought of making Liv Morgan be a primitive threat for Shayna Baszler. And a feud that they established for a majority of the women's division, other than Becky Lynch's title reign, was the Riot Squad. For some reason, they're broken up. For some reason, other than for maniacal reasons from Ruby Riot, we don't know why Sarah Logan is like neutral to all of this. And all this crap is so corny. And Becky Lynch, yeah, bouted Shayna Baszler. She'll beat her at Mania. It's generic promo of Becky Lynch. She then later on celebrated a 316 day with Steve Austin with a couple Budweisers after stunning Saxton twice. Out of the racism, I mean the celebration. We also had a weird promo by Kevin Owens. It's like you have outbeat me in every turn. Like we could have seen this in any other pay-per-view. I don't think anybody, especially with a storyline that's so basic as I have a group, they beat you up, they don't cost you shit, you still try to fight me, and I haven't done anything. Just to make sure, like, babyfaces have a right to. Kevin Owens will never play a babyface. Ever. He's always going to be a fat, loser, douchebag, bearded asshole that come around noticing that he has a weird Canadian accent. And he's a good wrestler. That's technically his gimmick. I just like him more of a heel thinks he has smarter dialogue. Other than, hey, you can't shut up, can't you? That's literally it. In all of the, like, memories viewed on, like, NXT, all this crap that has to do with them coming to the top, even though Kevin Owens, like, was called up in 2015. Rollins was earlier. His stuff with the Monday Night Messiah. And challenging to a match at Mania. Like, why do we need this many matches on Mania? It's already a 2-day event. And somehow they're going to try to make sure that this Mania feels dragged out as fuck. We haven't had a Mania that lasted for over a day since WrestleMania 3. And that was when the Mania was still growing up in popularity. And now here they are now, making a 2-day event because of a huge pandemic instead of suspending the event for a couple of weeks. But thanks to bleeding money over the cancellation of the XFL, it kind of like is dragging off at this point that, oh god, we really need to do this crap. Oh god. So that's practically it. From over this standpoint, Byron Saxton getting stunnered as well twice. Somehow there was a rating system for how much you can be 316, and 316 days just being an overall lazy dickhead pussy. And Saxton was the only one to react while Jerry King Lawler and Tom Phillips. I still don't know where the hell Vic Joseph and Dio Madden is, even though these guys were established to be the new commentators, and yet they still gave Tom Phillips and Byron Saxton a job, even though they still do the same thing. Vic Joseph and Dio Madden still haven't done for the last several months. And that's actually established themselves as characters for our commentary. And their best thing is, we established to be here. We're so great to be here. I'm still Michael Cole, but younger. And I'm Booker T, but he lost every part of his soul and personality. I'm just a black man with dreads. That's literally it. Becky Lynch trying to establish herself as like a Steve Austin 2.0, even though establishing no character other than I hold the title and I call myself the man and I walk like I'm a huge tranny wearing my boyfriend's jacket. And she is literally shown to get this popularity later on, not only because she turned heel, but that failed, like just so she can get in the top main event spot after winning the Raw Women's title back at Mania. It was so bland, and they still try to get her over the hump, even though she literally is the most popular next to Charlotte Flair, but Charlotte Flair is a better wrestler. It's just so weak. And how they've even established most of the women main roster talent. It's so crap that two NXT women are facing off against main roster women, not to establish NXT as a third brand, because there's literally nobody to face off with at Mania. Charlotte got the NXT Women's title somehow. Bayley's going off a couple of jobbers, plus Sasha Banks, and of course Shayna Baszler from NXT is going against Becky Lynch. Are you sure you guys want to waste your money on this? I'm just saying, it's just an opinion. You guys can still watch go to the network, waste your time, get to the browser, watch WrestleMania 24, and have a good April 5th. Because it was so sad. It's so sad to watch the show when you thought you were going to get something out of it. I'm willing to rate this even though this pandemic is kind of limited. Most of what Raw and SmackDown normally could do, even the setting that they're in. But it's no excuse. AEW made a more entertaining show. And they didn't have much to work with except their technology and their roster. So, yeah, go fuck yourself. You can make something out of nothing. WWE just tries because they got everything. Doesn't try anymore because they got everything they need and they still can't make a show of substance. Because they think they have nothing to prove anymore. Except trying to coattail over the success they had in the 2000s and 90s with showing no interest in any of the younger talent that they established. They get themselves more fucking money because they're pussies. Rock gets a 3 out of 10. There was one wrestling match. One fucking wrestling match. Nothing but promos and half-baked wrestling vignettes to show that we're WrestleMania and we can still make feuds even though we had 3 hours still to make an entertaining product. And we forgot that we only had one wrestling match in the show, so. What were they really trying to establish? That The Undertaker looks better with a shirt on? It's practically it. I'd rather be suffered with Corona than try to watch WrestleMania 36. That's practically it coming from me. I'm drinking tea. I wish this would be alcohol. That's not 316 Day anymore. But that's it coming from the DST show. Hope you like, comment, and subscribe. Go to her wrestling forum, because I'll roast you and tell you who's the best 5-star wrestler in the company. And, of course, Raw's not that bad. It's just the coronavirus. Even though it's still been weak build-up since January. Thank you for watching. Hope you like my review and my forced attempt to make sure I don't scream in the top of my lungs. That's it coming from me. Hope you guys liked the video.